Hi guys, it's Katie. Thanks for stopping by my channel. Today I'm going to make a dairy-free corn chowder. I've made this recipe a couple times. I kind of put together a couple recipes. One that's just a corn chowder recipe and one from a dairy-free, and I kind of combined them to make my own. So I wanted to show you that today. It's really easy to put together really quick, and it uses mostly things that you probably already have. There's only one ingredient that you probably don't have, but if you are a dairy-free or vegan kitchen, you should have, and that's raw cashews. These are whole, but we're going to blend them up. So if you find the pieces, that works really well. Usually you can find them for a cheaper price. And so raw cashews make a really great creamy base for soups and sauces that's dairy-free. I used the cashew cream to make a potato soup recipe that's on my channel. I will link it down below. I also made a creamy dairy-free soup made out of cauliflower. So that might be another option if you can't have nuts, to make like a creamy base for this soup. Other than the cashews to give like the creamy aspect of the corn chowder, I'm just using frozen corn. I have 2 bags here, and these are 12 ounces, so altogether about 1.5 pounds, but if you have 2 1-pound bags, that would work too, or if you wanted to use fresh, that would work. But I've only ever used frozen, and it works out perfectly. So I have 2 bags. One I leave whole and one I blend. You could blend the whole thing if you wanted. I like a little bit of texture in there. So I have 2 bags of frozen corn. I have an onion. I got some celery. I'm going to use water. You could use veggie stock or any kind of stock or broth that you wanted for the liquid portion. I'm going to put some potatoes. I didn't originally think to put potatoes in, but because the corn is so sweet, and with the onions and that, and even the cashews have a little sweetness, I wanted a little something to kind of like soak up all of those sweet flavors and make it, back to being sort of a savory soup. And some finely diced potato did that really well. So I'm going to chop all of the vegetables, and I want them about the size of the corn. Like I said, I'm not going to blend the second bag, so I want all of the pieces in the soup to be about the size of a corn kernel. And so I'm going to chop up all these vegetables and get that started. The other thing you want to do is soak your cashews. You can soak it in cold water a couple hours ahead of time. I have this in some boiling water. I'm going to use a Vitamix to blend this up, so it's not as important that these are soaked. If you have a regular, less powerful blender, you could soak them a little longer. Or I'll show you how we can just send it through like a mesh strainer just to make sure there's no unblended up pieces. But if you have a a regular blender, soaking it can help. Sending it through this sieve can help. But we can make it work, whatever you have. So I'll turn the camera down to the counter and show you chopping up the vegetables. So I'm going to put all the veggies in the pot. I'm just going to put a little bit of water and stock and just start to simmer them. If you wanted, you could saute the onions to start, but this is just kind of a throw it all in the pot kind of soup for me. So I'm just going to throw them in with some water. I'm going to put more water in with the cashews, so I'm just putting enough to sort of cover them to get the start to cook while I blend up the cashews. So I'm going to blend the cashews, and the soaking water is fine. You can put it all together. You could just throw the corn in and blend it all together, but I'm going to show you how to strain for the cashews to make sure there's no like chunks of cashews. So we'll do it separately. Alright, so I'm just going to use a metal strainer. pour this through. Press it through. This is mostly just foam. Okay, so I don't know if you can see. There's some little bits, maybe that hard little part that's inside the nut where they join together. So there's a little bit here, but like I said, I only soaked mine for about 10 minutes. But the rest of this should be free of any little lumps. Okay, so I'm going to blend the corn now. Pour this back in. So now we'll blend it with the corn. And once you put this in the soup, it will start to thicken. You see it's very yellow from the corn. It actually kind of looks like cornbread batter. I'm not going to put it in until the soup is nearly ready because it will thicken and you know, it makes it a little easier to scorch on the bottom of the pan. So we'll do that at the last part. So the soup itself is just coming to a boil. I'm going to season it. Some salt and pepper, some garlic powder, smoked paprika would be good. Some parsley would be good. And we diced all those vegetables pretty small, so it shouldn't take long for them to get tender, and they'll simmer a little bit more once we put the cashew and the corn in. Oh, I forgot the other corn. The other bag of corn can go in at any time. And I'm keeping the liquid volume sort of low because we're going to add the cashew cream, and then you can always adjust with more stock or water once the soup is nearing the end to get it the right consistency if you want it a little thinner. But if we keep it on the thick side, then we can keep it thick if we want it to keep it thick. Okay, so the vegetables are mostly cooked. I did add a little smoked paprika and some cayenne just for a little kick and a little bit of color. I'm going to put this in, you can see how thick it is. Like I said, it looks like cornbread batter. Pour all that in. And if you are going to add some extra stock or broth, put it in your blender. Let it swirl around in there and get all this good stuff out. Let's see if we need to add some more liquid. I'm going to let it cook for 5 minutes to let it thicken, because it will thicken a little bit before you decide how much stock to add to it. So just let this simmer a little bit. Got some garlic chives out of my garden I'm going to chop up for a garnish. Green onions would work well. Diced up jalapenos would be good. Whatever you like. Okay, the soup is done. Just make sure you simmer it gently after you put the cashew corn blended mixture in, because it's pretty easy to scorch. It's got a lot of sugar and it's pretty thick. Once it comes sort of back up to a simmer, it's usually as thick as it's going to get unless you really reduce it down. So mine is perfect the way it is. I did add just a tiny bit of water to the blender to get that last good stuff out, but I think the texture is just right. So just gonna garnish it with some chives like I said, and it's ready to serve. Hope you enjoyed the recipe. I will put all the ingredients down in the description box. If you make it, I'd love to hear how it turned out for you. If you adjust my recipe, I would love to hear your adjustments and how it turned out. Okay? Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!